Good morning. It is Thursday, March the 2nd, 2023. I'm Pearson Bowen. This is a CBC Morning Report. We start with Coit. It's becoming such a major nuisance that a senior official is calling for a national attention to be paid to the problem. Coit has been an irritant and health hazard for many, with schools having to close to deal with its removal. A resident of the Rock St. Peter sent us this video to the Morning Report. She says the vacant lot right next to her home, and she's been cleaning up Coit for years. That has cost her hundreds of dollars. She says each cycle, when the pods mature and burst, the wind blows them straight into her home and non-stop itching of the skin commences. However, her attempt to engage environmental health officers have failed to date. As a result, she's kept her windows and doors closed. That has impacted indoor airflow. This St. Peter resident is not alone, and one agency which has been called on to deal with the Coit is the Barbados Fire Service. They believe this issue needs national attention. Well, joining us now to take a look at this is Chief Fire Officer Errol Maynard. Chief Fire Officer Maynard, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson, and good morning, Barbados.
What's the level of national attention you think that is deserving of this issue?
Actually, Coit has been a problem in Barbados for many, many years. Every year we have to engage our resources to address Coit's problems. And if you examine it carefully, Coit, beautiful green plant with a purple flower, grows all over Barbados. But when every year we have to, at a certain time, respond to Coit fires or the request to get rid of Coit. So we believe strongly that because it has been a sustained problem for so many years, that we need to have a national approach to get rid of this problem. We cannot be doing the same thing over and over. It's impacting on us the same way every time, and yet we're doing nothing about it. So therefore, we need to look at it from a national perspective.
What do you see to be some of the possible solutions or ideas from the fire service that can be brought to the discussion table?
Well, most people believe that burning will get rid of the Coit. That is not necessarily true. One of the things, you have to approach the Coit when it's young, when the plant is young, before it starts to flower, or even if it is flowering before it starts to dry. Because it's when it's dry, the pods are dry, that you get the issue. So if you can clean it up, pull it up, spray it down when it's young, or even if it is dry, bulldoze it, bury it, and keep it. And over the years, every year you keep that area level, you will not have that problem reoccurring. I think we had one success story in the land above the Black Mongolic School. The adjacent, you might have some issues there, but the one just above to the east, that was leveled, kept low, and we did not have the Coit problem in that particular field anymore. And if you continue to do that throughout Barbados, individuals, landowners keep their properties clean, the Coit problem will go away. We had other issues with plant pests. We had the Lavine years ago, and there was a concerted effort to get rid of it, and now we don't have such a problem. The Coit problem is it affects schools, businesses, a loss of productivity, and therefore we need to address it in a collaborative way.
It's a seasonal issue, or is it not? And if so, how does it impact on the services of the Barbados Fire Service?
Well, so far we have had 5 major fires involving Coit, and this resulted from persons trying to burn out the Coit themselves, and because of the magnitude of the situation, the fire will get away from them or get out of control, and then they engage the fire service at the back end. So we have to solve the problem. And in one case we had to deploy 3 fire tenders in excess of 15 personnel at one site to deal with a fire that resulted from Coit. And so far we have 5 of those. And then we have situations where schools are impacted and they call us to assist again. One fire station had to be temporarily relocated because of this same coverage problem. And so it's impacting on us, and we have a field that we're addressing shortly in the St. John area that I'm sure will impact the fire station at St. John, but we are looking at ways that we can solve that before it actually occurs, because we need, as a country, to have persons keeping their property clean and rid of this coverage problem. It's hurting us, and instead of addressing other emergencies on a daily basis, we have to be running all over the country. And when I say all over the country, that is from Christchurch to St. Lucie, behind coverage problem.
It's a serious problem that needs urgent attention indeed. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, for bringing this into the spotlight. Chief Fire Officer Errol Maynard, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome, and thank you.
This is the CBC Morning Report. When we come back, teenage TikTok users are about to face restrictions on that social media platform. That and a whole lot more straight ahead. Stay with us.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day, and join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on.
Social media platform TikTok is set to a default of 60 minutes daily time limit for all accounts held by under 18s, and is developing a tool to allow parents to prevent their children from viewing content containing certain words or hashtags as the company looks to shore up its public image. The changes come amid growing concerns among different governments around the world about the app's security and ability to alert its algorithms to push certain posts. Meanwhile, the U.S. House Republicans are pushing a bill that will give President Joe Biden the ability to ban the app nationwide.
The bill passed out of this House committee, but by a very partisan vote, 24-16. Republicans argue that this poses a potential national security challenge. They argue that China could be using this information to basically spread misinformation, to target people, to track people. That is a charge that TikTok denies. Democrats are against the bill because they say it's simply too broad, that it could interfere with the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. So what happens next? Well, it goes to the full House for a vote, and Republicans are in charge, but by the slimmest majority. Democrats, though, control the Senate. So if they remain united against this bill, it's unlikely that it'll land on President Biden's desk. Experts say there's valid concerns when it comes to all of these social media companies, and they believe there's a reason that TikTok is being targeted.
I think that there's definitely an element of TikTok being a very successful non-US social media app, and that kind of is raising a lot of, putting a target on it, for example. It doesn't mean that the concerns are invalid, right? These concerns are real, valid concerns about data security.
And there is additional news coming from TikTok. The company says all of those cute dog videos and funny cat memes and all those people dancing, well, you're going to have a limit on that if you're under the age of 18. About 60 minutes, and after 60 minutes, it'll prompt you to say, do you want another 30 minutes? You'll have to put in a pin. There's a catch, though. They are going to make this the default setting, but people under the age of 18 can go in and change the default setting to go back to unlimited TikTok time, watching all of those funny videos. So for parents across the globe who thought, great, this fight is now over, it's not.
Nigeria's ruling All Progressives Congress candidate Bola Tinubu has been declared the winner of the presidential election, triggering mixed reactions across the West African country. However, at least 2 observer missions, including the European Union team, have flagged major logistical problems, disenfranchised voters, and a lack of transparency by the Electoral Commission.
Jubilant supporters of the governing party celebrate victory in a hard-fought and tense election. Their candidate, 70-year-old Bola Ahmed Tinubu, now has the task of trying to calm a divided country.
I take this opportunity also again to appeal to my fellow contestants to let us team up together. It is the only nation we have. The unfortunate...
His declaration was boycotted by the main opposition political party representatives, who accused the Electoral Commission of colluding to rig the vote. The opposition has strongly criticized the Electoral Commission for failing to electronically upload election results right from polling units. This, they say, was a deliberate attempt to rig the vote. Election officials, however, have told them to take their case to court. Something the opposition isn't entirely happy with.
Judiciary is said to be the last hope of the common man. It is so in all other matters, but in political matters, sorry to say, the judiciary is not the last hope of the common man. I hope and pray that the judiciary will live up to their responsibility of being the last hope of the common man.
This election has deeply divided Nigerians.
We have no other country than Nigeria. All we need to do is to carry those of you that are aggrieved, don't just fight, don't protest. If you have anything to protest, go to court. This man cannot be our leader. It's not our mandate.
Bola Tinubu will have to work to unite a fractured country, in addition to dealing with its numerous economic, security and social crises. For now, the streets of the capital and many other parts of Nigeria are calm. The next few days will determine whether they stay that way.
The site for one of the bloodiest and devastating battles to date in the war in Ukraine, Mariupol, has started to rebuild under Russian rule.
This was once a busy, vibrant city, with cultural buildings like this famous drama theatre, now damaged and peppered with bullets and bomb fragments. Russian forces won the battle for Mariupol after more than 80 days of intense fighting. And now they want the people of the city to move on from the scars of war to rehabilitation. By 2025, the city should be rebuilt, according to Moscow's Mariupol Reconstruction Master Plan. It wants the population here to grow to 500,000 people in the next decade by rehabilitating 1 million square meters of social buildings. The Russian state plans to fund a complete replacement of the city's facilities, including a railway station, a port, tram lines and the airport.
Well, Russia definitely tried to take these territories and to organize new life there, but Russian authorities also hoped that Ukrainian political regime would collapse. So probably this was a miscalculation and there was a necessity to remake this plan. No one can imagine that if you have this prolonged or long-time conflict, that people could live safely there. It just was not possible to imagine.
According to a new law passed by Russia's State Duma, people in the annexed regions of Ukraine will have the same benefits as Russian citizens. The legislation aims to provide free medical care, pensions and benefits. Piece by piece, people are trying to rebuild their lives.
We are going to redevelop. We want to live free, as our grandfathers, grandmothers and relatives used to live in our free territory, where no one will shoot at us, tell us what to do and force us to speak another language.
A few hundred apartments and homes have been rebuilt in the city, where only 1/5 of the population is left. Slowly, basic services such as water and electricity are returning.
My house burned down on the left bank near the sea. It was at Komsomol Boulevard, about 50 meters from Azovstal.
My son took us to his house so we can live with him and his family.
Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson were annexed by Russia in September in what Western powers called a sham referendum. Moscow insists that people chose their right to self-determination despite Western condemnation. But for the hundreds of thousands of people in these territories, any help to rebuild their lives is welcome.
If there is no more fighting here, it will take years to remove the scars of war from the city of Mariupol. But for the families of the thousands of people killed in these territories, no number of new buildings or benefits can replace their loss.
Well, coming up at 6:30 when you join me for Morning Barbados, the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry, they're having a power summit. We'll tell you the details about it and who can be invited to it. Kenya has launched an alternative energy solution. We want to hear from them this morning about that solution, and we also want to know how Barbados can benefit from their ideas. We'll also today be introducing you to the work of the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology as we continue our UWI Taster Week. Those and a whole lot more straight ahead at 6:30 on Morning Barbados. The CBC Morning Report continues in just a moment.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV.
There are plans to secure millions of dollars for upgrades at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and improve patient care. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. the Most Honourable Jerome Walcott, during the estimates debate yesterday, said there are 8 capital projects in the works to be funded under the European Union Investment Bank project to the tune of 31 million euros or about 66 million Barbados dollars. Those projects include a wastewater management program and refurbishment of the eye care centre. The health minister also spoke of plans to replace equipment at the hospital.
The QH completed a comprehensive 5-year capex plan to identify all of the equipment and infrastructure works which will be needed to improve the delivery of care at that institution over the next 5 years. The total has come to just over 130 million, and it is anticipated, we've already started discussions with financial institutions, and it is anticipated that the QH will obtain a loan of 130 million, not to be dispersed at one time, but certainly over the 5-year period, to facilitate the replacement of equipment and infrastructure works that is needed to improve that institution. Over $130 million. In addition, Mr. Chairman, there are now proposed 8 capital projects to be funded on the European Investment Bank project. They amount to the tune of 31 million euros.
The health minister also touched on the issue of mental health, noting there has been an increase in demand for these types of services. Additionally, the island's primary health care institutions recorded 200% more visits in 2022 than in 2019.
Obviously, the multiple lockdowns, the issues of physical distancing, job loss, and fear infection, and increased isolation and loneliness and anxiety are all factors that contribute to mental health issues. So in an effort to ensure that our mental health services are fit for purpose, the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with PAHO, recently completed a comprehensive review of our mental health services. We have in our possession the draft report. And this report provides guidance on the challenges concerning the delivery of mental health, the organization of the health system with particular emphasis on the integration of mental health services and care, and the main priorities for implementation, and identifies key challenges and actions required to overcome them.
Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley has called for the establishment of a Caribbean calorie counter that will help people make better informed eating decisions to become a reality in the next year. Ms. Motley has vowed government will assist the Ministry of Health in this regard.
The NHS in England can't have a calorie counter for cuckoo, and Barbados don't got one. So I really want to urge the ministry, and we will work with you to make sure that by next year this time, just as we worked with you on the cardiac project, that the executive director has shown that we now have the 24-hour support services, we will work with you on it. Because if the minister honorable member for St. Philip North is to be successful, then the first thing people need to know is what it is they're eating and what the impact of it is on them.
The Fair Trading Commission has announced a delay in the delivery of updated feed-in tariffs for renewable energy sources. Chief Executive Officer Dr. Marsha Adley Akechi says they initially anticipated they would be able to deliver by month end. However, she says that has since been postponed by at least a month as the FTC awaits information from potential investors.
In the absence of local information, because we want the rates to be reflective of local market conditions, we have to use proxies. In this instance, we sought as much as possible, as we did with the last set of feed-in tariffs, to seek to get that information from the potential investors, those that have indicated and have applied already for IPP-type facilities, recognizing that they will be required to include storage in their projects. That information has not been forthcoming. And for a number of reasons. In some instances, they had not contemplated that, and they've indicated that to us, and they're going back to be able to get that information to provide for us. But in most recent correspondence, they've said that information will not be available until the end of March.
Students at a primary school in the Bahamas now have a new place to play, all made from recyclable materials. It's already a hit with United Students. And let's turn our attention now to the Greece Prime Minister has blamed human errors for a collision between two trains that killed at least 38 people in the country's worst rail tragedy that triggered the resignation of the Transport Minister.
The worst train crash Greece has ever seen. A passenger train colliding head-on with a freight train. Many of the 350 passengers were students returning to Thessaloniki after a long weekend celebrating Greek Orthodox Lent. Many were killed in the initial impact shortly before midnight, others burnt in a fire so hot it melted metal. Those who made it out were still trying to understand what happened.
I jumped on him, then we fell down. A woman with her child was with us. The train caught fire next to us, and this guy found a hole, so we all managed to get out.
The whole train had bent 90 degrees and had fallen over the cliff. Half of it was hanging in the air and the whole thing was on fire. There were 5 wounded where I was.
An estimated 82 passengers are missing, but only about half that number of bodies has been recovered. The rest may never be retrieved because the fire that engulfed the first 2 cars of this train was so hot, more than 1,000 degrees Celsius, we're told, it may have cremated the victims exactly where they were killed. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis was at the scene even as the search for survivors continued.
We are talking about an unspeakable tragedy. Our thoughts today are first and foremost with the relatives of the victims. Our duty is to treat the wounded and from there to identify the bodies.
Dozens of people stood in line to donate blood at the hospital in the central town of Larissa, and angry families are demanding answers.
We want all those responsible to pay for this mess, this Greek mess. Trains derailing in 2023? It's insane, and on a double track even from what we're hearing. They went from double to a single track and crashed.
A station master has been arrested as investigators try to establish how 2 trains came to be on the same track.
Sports now. The semi-finals of the 2023 National Primary Schools Athletics Championships will take to the Usain Bolt complex today. After the 8 zonal meets over the past 2 weeks, it's now down to the final 2 days, with today's action set to determine who will qualify for the grand final on the 10th of March. All of it you can see live here on CBC TV8 from 5 minutes to 10 this morning. And this morning's Gold Cup preview features a horse that is among the favourites to take top prize come Saturday. Anne-Marie Burt now introduces us to So Suave. We'd hope to have that preview for you. We'll, of course, as soon as we get an opportunity to do so, to share that with you so you get to know who's racing when at the Garrison Savannah this coming Saturday for the annual Sandy Lane Gold Cup. Let's turn our attention now to the weather forecasts, as the figures have been recorded earlier at the Met Office of the Grant Lee Adams International Airport. What's in the forecast for Barbados today? At 6 o'clock this morning, the temperature read 23.1 degrees Celsius. Conditions outside are fair. It feels, though, like 24 degrees Celsius with the relative humidity 77%. The barometer reading 1015.3 millibars, and the winds are coming from the east at 20 kilometers an hour. Just about now, there is a low tide in Barbados all around. Another low tide is scheduled for 7:45 this evening. We expect today a high tide at around 27 minutes past noon. Seas in Barbados today moderate in open water with swells ranging from 1.5 to 2 meters. Look at that, the forecast for Barbados today. I know words that you don't like to hear or see. Mostly sunny and warm, so be very careful out there. And tonight, mostly clear and cool. Now look at some forecast conditions for some international cities. London, maximum of 9. Montreal, a minimum of -16. Bitingly cold indeed with a maximum of 2. In Boston, high of 8, a low of -1. In New York, still chilly there, a high of 14, a low of 1. And in Miami, the warmest side of the world, 27 degrees Celsius, its maximum, 23 degrees, its minimum. Now let's take a look at that Gold Cup preview as Anne-Marie Burke introduces us to So Suave.
The much talked about 6-year-old Irish-bred bay horse So Suave arrived in Barbados back in January and joined the stables of trainer John Mark Crozier and is owned by his wife Nalicia. Coming into the island with 16 starts, of which he got to the post first on 6 occasions, twice in second and 1 third, perhaps what caused quite the stir was his win in the race touted as a dress rehearsal for the Gold Cup, the Coolmore Home of Champions Stakes back on January 28. Then piloted by veteran jockey Patrick Husband, the Coolmore win was when he became a favorite heading into Saturday's Gold Cup. Crozier explains he is a quality horse and preparations ahead of the big race are going to plan.
He's won on all surfaces already. He's won at Ireland on a very, very soft wing. He's won in the Gulfstream on a very hard turf track. He's also won in Canada on the poly track and on the turf track in Canada, which is relatively given turf surface. So he adapts to anything basically. The horse is doing everything that we've asked of him. So he's sound. And I'm just hoping that on the day we get a good trip and it's a nice clean race and hopefully we could bring home the Gold Cup afterwards.
So Suave has been drawn to run out of post position 3, and this is just where Crozier wanted to be.
When I was discussing just before the draw with the jockey, before he went into the draw, I told him I would like to draw preferably 3, but anywhere between 3 and 6. It so happened that we drew 3, so I was very happy with that. He's a horse that can get away from the gate early and settle, so there's some other speed in the race, so we're just hoping to sit behind a couple of good speedsters and get a good trip from them.
On board will be 2011 winning jockey Antonio Bishop, and between having tasted Gold Cup victory before and on a horse tipped as a favourite, he sees this as no pressure.
My expectations is anything is possible, and with a bit of luck, you can achieve what you want. There's not really no pressure because at the end of the day, the jockey and the captain to win the big races. He's working lovely, ain't got no complaints.
That's So Suave, one of the 9 entries aiming for Gold Cup glory.
Well, that's it for today's edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Pearson Bowen. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Indeed, morning to you. Welcome to today. Today is Thursday the 2nd of March 2023. Good morning, I'm Pearson Bowen. Good to see you. Thank you so much for waking up to keep us company. And as always, I welcome you if you're anywhere else in the world watching us on our streams on YouTube and Facebook. Bonjour, ça va? Hope you have a lovely day today. Today is Thursday. So today, it's the month of the disabled, as you know, March is. And so we're joined this morning by the Director of the National Disabilities Unit. We want to look at their work and what are the plans to mark this month for the disabled. BARP is tackling obesity. They're having a free clinic coming up. They will join us this morning to talk more about it and how you can be a part of it and why they're tackling obesity in the very first place. I know you think you know the answers, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. It's Taste to Week that continues with the University of the West Indies at Cayfield campus, and we're continuing today to look at the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. We want to look at their work, we want to look at the programs they offer, and perhaps incite you or excite you to be a part of those programs as well, and share with you how you can qualify to complete studies in those areas at the University of the West Indies. Kenya has launched an alternative energy center, and today we get to hear from them about what it is. We also today get to hear about how Barbados can benefit from those ideas as well, and how we can begin to look at reducing our energy costs. So stand by for that exciting opportunity in just a moment. But let's get started this morning by talking about that Power Summit. The Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry is hosting a Power Summit on International Women's Day, which is the 8th of March. Joining us this morning as we take a look at what is going to be happening then is Alison Brown-Ellis, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Pace Digital and the Chair of the BCCI Marketing and Communications Committee. With her is the Executive Director of the BCCI, the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Misha Loban-Clark. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Pearson.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are 6 days away from International Women's Day, and so you're having this Power Summit. Let's talk a little bit about that. What's going on there? What are you doing?
I'll go first, Misha. Well, we're really excited. We're really excited this morning to share what we're doing for the Power Summit. The Barbados Chamber of Commerce again has brought this very powerful summit to Barbados and the women in Barbados. Our theme this year, again similar to last year, is preparing and optimizing our women in business to win. So we had an amazing conference last year. The engagement was high. We brought some very experienced and seasoned professionals to share with the audience. And this year again, we are bringing back a camarade of some very, very powerful speakers, including some young professionals that are really setting the blaze on the trail on fire with what they have been doing in their respective fields. So we're going to be at the Hilton Barbados on March 8th, which is International Women's Day, and we're encouraging all women in business to power on.
Ms. Loban-Clark, talk to me a little bit about why you think this is so critical at this time for women to have an opportunity to be powered up and powered on.
Thank you, Pearson. Now, as I think Alison would have mentioned, that this is the second year that the Barbados Chamber is hosting this Power Summit. And we have strategically positioned this summit on International Women's Day to bring greater awareness to the issues surrounding women. And, you know, of course, International Women's Day is about honoring the accomplishments of women globally, but while raising awareness of the issues that continue to impact women. And this year, the theme is Embrace Equity, #EmbraceEquity. And it really focuses on the need for societies globally to not only talk about equal opportunities for women, but to take the necessary actions that will ensure that real inclusion and equity exist for everyone. And the chamber really endorses the view, as highlighted by the international IWD organizers, that gender equity and equality need to be part of society's DNA. You know, society must value the role and importance that equity plays in progression and moving towards more inclusion for women in terms of what they earn and what the opportunities that they are afforded. And the chamber, being the voice of the business community, it represents the diversity of the business sector, but it also represents the gender diversity. There are many women in leadership within the membership of the chamber in leadership position, and therefore the chamber sees itself as an advocate for the companies, but those gender within our membership, whether male and female. And so this is what we're doing. You know, we're advocating on behalf of women in business.
And so, Alison, it's a summit, a power summit for women, naturally, on International Women's Day. Talk to me about the composition of the women who you expect to be in the room, and then also talk to me about who will be presenting and the subject areas they're presenting on.
Oh, absolutely, Pearson. We have such a powerful lineup. I think what you would notice from this year's summit that we've done differently is that we've included some men in the summit. So let's just start with the fact that our first panel is going to be looking at leading with heart through change. And of course, there was no better person to come to the panel, the Power Summit this year, than the most honorable Dr. Corey Ford, who is going to be joined by our very own council member, Vidya Woods, as well as Marcia Lewis. And Marcia is of LCI Consulting, but she's also a change management practitioner. And therefore, we believe that that first panel is going to be powerful, the most powerful way to start off this summit, because it's one thing to lead, but it's about the empathy that you bring as you lead your people through any major change within business. And we go on to part of our focus for this summit, and our objective is always to bring professional development topics that plague women in business, and just not just from a professional perspective, but from a personal perspective. So we're also going to be having Tracy Knight Lloyd, who is going to ask channel the participants as to how financially fit are you. That's one of the topics we're going to bring. And this year again, we wanted to bring some younger professionals, so we have a panel discussion that is going to be focused on unlocking your confidence. And we're going to see how some of the young professionals in Barbados that are doing some amazing things are really positioning themselves to win. So we have a panel that is going to be made up of Crystal Hoy of CBC, Crystal Andongs of She Markets. We have Shane Eastman, another male on the panel, who is an artist in his own right. And then we have Roseanne Mears, just to bring the balance, because Roseanne, as you know, is a very experienced and very, very dynamic businesswoman in Barbados. We then also have Dr. Janine Coma, who is going to be looking at coaching and mentorship, and we all understand how important this is in terms of your progression and career advancement, as well as Kelly Donnelly. Kelly is of the nation, and she is going to be speaking on the power of professional networking. That is an area of professional development that is sometimes overlooked, because we have introverted personalities that really need to understand that this is a key element to success. So we wanted to bring that to the discussion. And we have a featured speaker who is going to get the team all fired up. Raphael Saul is going to be speaking on harnessing the power of now and the role that the mindset has to play in your progression to success. And then we have our panel session, which is purpose and passion. How do you merge those two? How do you literally look at entrepreneurship and corporate life and balance those two? And at what stage do you pivot in the journey? So that's going to be a very interesting discussion with Pauline Bellamy, Dr. Makiba Brooks from Urgent Care. We have Khadijah Miller, who runs the Cloth pop-up shop, and very experienced businesswoman, Dr. Avery. And our final discussion session, which we expect to be a really a great way to end this session, is going to be with Tracy Shuffler as well as Paul Ashby, two very experienced business professionals, well known in the business community, and they are going to be speaking on the climb to leadership. Is it really a struggle? For all of us that are in leadership, we know it's not for the faint of heart. So we wanted to get a message out there to the young, aspiring, and emerging leaders.
That sounds like a whole week of activity indeed. But it's happening just on one day. Remind us of location and times and so forth.
So
so we have. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yes, so we are inviting all women who are at various levels of their career development, certainly, and who really are keen to just take their business to another level, as well as young career professional women, to join us at the Hilton Barbados from 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. on March 8th. But Pearson, I would like to also just emphasize that we are also not just adding men to the diversity in terms of levels of experience on our panel, on our lineup of speakers, but we are welcoming men to attend. We feel that men really play a central role in helping women to advance, to help women to be able to break the glass ceiling and enable a kind of corporate environment where women are accepted in terms of equity in leadership. You know, we don't see the issues surrounding women as one that is just the cause of women. Men have been powerful forces behind women in business and in the corporate environment in general. And so we feel that we want to just say that it is not a woman summit per se, it's a power summit where we are pulling men and women together for this dynamic event. And what we know at the end of the day, as Alison says, will be transformational, it will be impactful, and at the end of the day, it will be towards enhancing the kind of equitable environment for all that exists in Barbados.
That is so well said. I'm so glad you went there, because I was going to ask what's going to happen on International Men's Day, but you've put it all in one in the Power Summit. So it's an opportunity for everyone to feel empowered, you know, preparing and optimizing our women in business and to win. But in exchanging in that room as well at the Hilton Hotel on the 8th of March from 8 o'clock in the morning till 7:30 in the evening, while men get to share, women also get to share. The empathy of which you spoke, Alison, is also what men need to learn, you know, that emotional intelligence side of ourselves, so that we get to better lead our organizations and lead our people for change and for winning indeed. And so this is really fantastic. If people are watching today who are not members of the BCCI, can they also come, and how can they register to be a part of it?
They have access to all our social media platform. Registration is via Eventbrite, but in terms of information, that is available on the Barbados Chamber's website, on our Facebook, on all our social media platforms. So, and they can contact the Barbados Chamber directly as well. Alison, I don't want to add anything.
I would just say that it's definitely open for non-members as well. Remember, Pearson, it's about embracing equity, so it's all inclusive. This is the mission for the Marketing and Communications Committee. Our goal is to bring everyone to the table that can help prepare and optimize our women in business to win.
I love it indeed. When I look at the cast of people who will be presenting, a mix of age and experience and youth as well, youth and their energy, but it is all going to be fantastic. It's happening on the 8th of March, folks, at the Hilton Hotel. Just look for them on social, the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Get to know more about how you can be a part. It's open to everyone. It really is quite an experience that we should all partake in. So I encourage as many of you as possible to sign up to be a part of it. It's going to be a powerful, powerful summit indeed. I call it a summit because it's a meeting of minds and coming together of all of it. Thank you so much, ladies, for exciting me and exciting all of us who are watching to be a part of this activity for International Women's Day. It's open to both genders, even though it's happening on International Women's Day. So gentlemen, don't feel that you ought not to be there in the room. Be there in the room, as well as there's a cross-fertilization of experience and ideas and empowerment, because we all want to win indeed. Alison Brown-Ellis, Chief Executive Officer of Pace Digital, also the Chair of the BCCI Marketing and Communications Committee, along with the Chief herself, the Executive Director, Misha Loban-Clark. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I wish you every success with this Power Summit. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Great day.
You too. Thank you so much, and likewise. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We'll take a break here on Morning Barbados. We're coming back with more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
11 minutes now to go to the hour of 7 o'clock as we take a trip to the motherland. We're going to Kenya, ladies and gentlemen, meeting with our brothers there, and we're happy to be joined this morning as we take a look at this very interesting project that is launched today. Senator Lorenzo Harewood of Barbados, as you know, he will be the guest speaker. He's also the chairman of the National Conservation Commission. With him is Andrew Peck, who is the founder of the Forgotten Mile Initiative, and Kaikai Napemei, I suppose I've pronounced that correctly. She will correct me when she joins me, an economist also from Kenya. To each of you, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Morning, Pierce.
Thank you so much. I just love your traditional look there, Kaikai. To talk to me a little bit about your name, if you just explain for me, Kaikai, your name, and help me with its pronunciation.
My name is Kaikai Nepame. So Kaikai is my father's name, and Nepame is my name. So Kaikai means pride, and Nepame means like I put my mom to some suffering before she gave birth to me.
Oh, that's beautiful indeed. And so here we are, because there's an exciting project that you've launched that we in Barbados need to learn from. You've started now the Forgotten Mile Initiative. And I'll start with you, Andrew. Talk to me a little bit about what that Forgotten Mile Initiative is and seeks to do.
So the Forgotten Mile Initiative, in Kenya, there are approximately 15 million people without access to electricity. And as a result, they live in very poor conditions below the level. Our initiative is about bringing a new technology to these villages. It's a power electronics technology that allows the villagers to build their own infrastructure on their own without the help of the outside world. So it gives them an opportunity to have light in their homes in the evening, to have a refrigerator, to have telemedicine, to have clean water purification, all of the components that they need for a healthy life. One observation that we made going into this was they didn't lack love and they didn't lack happiness. What they lacked is the opportunity for a healthy life.
Wow, I like that, the opportunity they lacked. And so you provide the opportunity. What is it that you do so that those things can be powered up, so that they can be a part of today's world as well through the provision of power?
So from a technical perspective, there are 3 or 4 very interesting components. The first of which is organic power panels. If everybody's familiar with solar panels, we're the first to bring organic power panels, which is about 3 or 4 times lighter than solar panels, much greener than solar panels, and could be rolled up into a tube for easy transportation into these villages. The next part is called 4G network electricity. This was invented by our CTO while working at Honeywell 20 years ago. It's an electronic switch. It's an electronic switch that's currently used in the aerospace industry for airplanes. Instead of having mechanical switches in their electrical systems, they've put in these electronic switches, which also collect data and have much faster reaction for inrush current and short circuit. So the protection is much better, and it's just advanced. It also gives us the opportunity to collect money from them for small amounts of electricity. What we noticed was that if they just had 100 watts of power in each of their homes, their lives would change. So this system allows them to bring small amounts of power. So they could just have lights if they want. But if they want a refrigerator, they could add a refrigerator or a television, telecommunications equipment. So it's a scalable, do-it-yourself system that also centers around energy storage. How do we finance it? We have some great partners, one of which is a company called Schneider Electric that is providing us with the battery storage systems that will go into this, which are also green. A system by which when the battery is end of life, we take it back for recycling so that we don't put products into a dump. And I think that's pretty much the core part of how we do it.
And so, Kai, as one of the leaders, the Forgotten Mile initiatives leaders, talk to me a little bit about how people in Kenya accepted this as an opportunity, and what are some of the challenges that you had to face, and how did you overcome them?
Yes, so like in Kenya, there are 17.9 people who are out of electricity. And as our government is working toward the achievement of the 17 SDG goals by 2030, this opportunity has come in handy at the right time because number one, like it's going to provide lights in the villages. So it's going to help kids to study, do the assignment in a comfortable environment with clear light. And it's going also to help them have refrigerators and the television that they can watch news and see what is happening around the and around the globe. So the challenges the people in the villages have facing are like number one is obviously lack of electricity, lack of clean water and sanitation, lack of medical care because hospitals are pretty far away from villages. Just reaches urban centers and the villages where a bigger population lives in is left bare with, they're just struggling. They're using traditional lighting of a lamp and some paraffin, which causes them to have chest problems in future because of the soot. So the faulty global opportunity is like a very, very impactful thing to the society because it's going to impact education, it's going to impact economic growth, and it's going to impact health lives of the people through the access to medical records, which can be used to evaluate their health status, and it helps them to get prevented before it happens. So yeah.
Well done. Senator Herwood, from the Barbados perspective, there's a lot we can learn as we as an island move towards renewable energy and within a relatively short span. So talk to me about the lessons that you're learning while you're there and the benefits for us from these lessons you've learned.
Yeah, thank you and good morning, Pearson. Good morning, everyone. Pearson, I must say that when I first heard about the initiative, I had to travel 21 hours and over 16,000 miles just to see what we would love to hear, which is the proof of concept. Seeing it on the paper, as you may see, is one thing. We've done you a disservice by not sharing the actual photos and videos based on the villages that we went in and saw persons and how they reacted to having electricity for the first time. Now, we in Barbados don't necessarily face the same constraints to the extent that these villagers face. I would admit that. However, we can benefit from the lessons learned here in terms of utilizing off-grid renewable energy. Off-grid renewable energy obviously means energy that is not generated or distributed by the main power grid, which is the light and power, or a mirror in the case of Barbados as well. The significant thing is that we are still vulnerable within the region to natural disasters like hurricanes. And we've seen from time to time, they do a wonderful job at reconnecting, but for some period of time, you're disconnected, and when you're disconnected, you don't have the opportunity really to do things that you would want to get yourself back to a state of normalcy. So the Prime Minister also emphasizes in her budget to the extent that she had taken off the value-added tax on things like generators, because she recognized that even though everyone should have access to renewable energy via the PVs, the real meat of the matter in terms of empowering persons is really to allow them to have storage at their homes as well. And this is why I came all the way out here, just to see how it would work in a community setting, just to ensure that when I come back to Barbados and I make the proposal and I have the discussions with the relevant authorities, that I'm coming with a proof of concept. And personally, I can say it is something that works. It is something that works. So Barbadians now need to frame their minds around not just sending energy into the grid, but capturing energy, storing it at home, and utilizing it for the appliances that it has as well. And they would find very much so that it will reduce the cost of electricity as well overall.
It's a win-win for all indeed. And Andrew, what you're talking about with this Forgotten Mile project is harnessing natural resources are available to all of us.
Sunlight. The wonderful thing about the organic power panels, they're made from recycled plastic bottles, so they're very, very green. And they absorb light. It's not just direct sun, it's just natural light. Whether it's overcast, no matter what the condition, you can actually take the panel, bring it inside, and the light that's on in your home will be absorbed by it and generate electricity. Now, it's only going to generate about 5% of that energy that you're using to make that light, but the point here is that this absorbs light. And everybody has, obviously, in Barbados is exposed to light. And you don't have to put it on the roof, you could put it in the window. It doesn't have to be put at a special angle, it could be in the backyard, it could be put anywhere. It's very portable, very flexible, very light, and a very important part of this technology is that it runs on what's called 48 volts network electricity. At 4G connects to the internet as well, and that allows you to work with it safely. You don't need, well, in most areas you do not need an electrician, a contractor. You can install it yourself. It's basically it's all plug and play. So plug and play, and it's hybrid. What we see in application in Barbados is that the utility company would look at this as a great asset for them, because they could lower the cost of delivering power to each home. They could save money for their customers, they could save money for themselves, and in the long run, be prepared for a natural disaster at the same time. Mm-hmm. So there's many benefits to this. And what I love telling everybody, this could be used in every building in the world. It's just basic, smart technology.
Indeed. We thank you so much for joining us this morning to expose us to this smart technology which you talked about through the project of the Forgotten Mile Initiative, just launched, and certainly now with our own Senator Herwood there. Or, he will bring it all back to us, and so we can get to know a little more about this microgrid center of Kenya and how it has impacted the lives of Kenyans, millions of Kenyans, and the benefits that we can derive here in Barbados as well. So I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. Senator Lorenzo Herwood, he's the chairman of the National Conservation Commission. He's at the moment in Kenya. He's a guest speaker there, and he will shortly be speaking to them. Andrew Peck is the founder of the Forgotten Mile Initiative, and leading the Village Initiative is Kai. So thank you all for joining us this morning. I wish you the very best indeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. You're welcome. We'll take a break here. We're coming back with the news in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Maxback Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for our new service. Football fans, let MCTV...
Good morning. Good morning to you.
2.5 minutes after 7 o'clock in our news, there are plans to secure millions of dollars for upgrades at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and improve patient care. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. the Most Honourable Jerome Walcott, during the estimates debate, said that there are 8 capital projects in the works to be funded under the European Investment Bank project to the tune of 31 million euros or about 66 million Barbados dollars. These projects include a wastewater management program and refurbishment of the eye care centre. The health minister also spoke of plans to replace equipment at the hospital.
The QH completed a comprehensive 5-year capex plan to identify all of the equipment and infrastructure works which will be needed to improve the delivery of care at that institution over the next 5 years. The total has come to just over 130 million, and it is anticipated, we've already started discussions with financial institutions, and it is anticipated that the QH will obtain a loan of 130 million, not to be dispersed at one time, but certainly over the 5-year period, to facilitate the replacement of equipment and infrastructure works that is needed to improve that institution, over $130 million. In addition, Mr. Chairman, there are now proposed 8 capital projects to be funded on the European Investment Bank project. They amount to the tune of 31 million euros.
The health minister also focused on the issue of mental health, noting there has been an increase in demand for these types of services. Additionally, the island's primary health care institutions recorded 200% more visits in 2022 than 2019.
Obviously, the multiple lockdowns, the issues of physical distancing, job loss, and fear infection, and increased isolation and loneliness and anxiety are all factors that contribute to mental health issues. So in an effort to ensure that our mental health services are fit for purpose, the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with PAHO, recently completed a comprehensive review of our mental health services. And we have in our possession the draft report. And this report provides guidance on the challenges concerning the delivery of mental health, the organization of the health system with particular emphasis on the integration of mental health services and care, and the main priorities for implementation, and identifies key challenges and actions required to overcome them.
Prime Minister Mia Motley has called for the establishment of a Caribbean calorie counter that will help people make better informed eating decisions to become a reality in the new year. Ms. Motley has vowed government will assist the Ministry of Health in this regard.
The NHS in England can't have a calorie counter for cuckoo, and Barbados don't got one. So I really, really want to urge the ministry, and we will work with you to make sure that by next year this time, just as we worked with you on the cardiac project, that the Executive Director has shown that we now have the 24-hour support services. We will work with you on it, because if the minister, the honourable member for St. Philip North, is to be successful, then the first thing people need to know is what it is they're eating and what the impact of it is on them.
The Fair Trading Commission has announced a delay in the delivery of the updated feed-in tariffs for renewable energy sources. Chief Executive Officer Dr. Marcia Adri Akechi says they initially anticipated they would have been able to deliver by month-end. However, she says that has since been postponed by at least a month as the FTC awaits information from potential investors.
in the absence of local information, because we want the rates to be reflective of local market conditions, we have to use proxies. In this instance, we sought as much as possible, as we did with the last set of feed-in tariffs, to seek to get that information from the potential investors, those that have indicated and have applied already for IPP-type facilities, recognizing that they will be required to include storage in their projects. That information has not been forthcoming, and for a number of reasons. In some instances, they had not contemplated that, and they've indicated that to us, and they're going back to be able to get that information to provide for us. But in most recent correspondence, they've said that information will not be available until the end of March.
Well, that's a look at news at this time. We'll have more news on TV8 at 12 noon, the CBC News Day. Morning Barbados continues in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade, or come in and sign up for our new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're down to 8.5 minutes now after 7 o'clock as we turn our attention all week long, as we've been, to the Taste to Week activities at the University of the West Indies KFL campus. Remember, they're marking their 60th anniversary this year, and so we just want to share, taste and see what's happening in studies at the university. But there's also the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. That's where we're going today, and we're joined this morning by Kathy Ann Caesar, who is a chief meteorologist. She's also a lecturer and coordinator of the UWI program. With her is Dr. Andrea Seeley, who is a meteorologist and a lecturer, and Dr. Cedric Van Meerbeek, a climatologist and a lecturer. These names this morning. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for challenging me. If I got it wrong, sir, I apologize, but it's not one of the usual Bajan names to which I'm accustomed. But I'll start with you, Miss Caesar. Let's talk a little bit about the Institute, the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology, and the work you do there.
Okay, so good morning, and thank you for having us on Barbados this morning. Good morning, Barbados. The Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology is the training unit of meteorology in the Caribbean. We do fall under the Caribbean Meteorological Council. And what we do here, we do all aspects of training related to meteorology and hydrology. Hydrology being the study of water, meteorology being the study of weather. We also have a very active climate section. We are currently the Regional Climate Center, and Dr. Van Meerbeek will talk about this. We do various other things. Our main goal, of course, is always education. We do work with the University of the West Indies since 1973 to run the meteorology program. We have a robust curriculum, and that curriculum enables our students to graduate as meteorologists, which is recognized by the World Meteorological Organization. Beyond the meteorology, our hydrology department is very active too as well, in not only training but also advising across the region of anything to do with water on above ground and below ground. We have extended, and we work actively with many agencies across the world to also provide information, and we're expanding into doing marine meteorology as well. So as my boss just told me, Dr. Farrell, who is our principal, we are a regional organization with a global reach. Andrea, Dr. Seeley, will talk about our dust, monitoring dust, Sahara dust. As you know, Barbados is significantly affected by dust coming across the Sahara Desert, from the Sahara Desert. So Andrew will speak on that as well.
We'll get to that in a minute.
We have a very robust program.
I want to talk
yes,
to
go
you
ahead.
about. I want to hear from you about what it takes to register to be a part of these programs that you offer there at the Institute.
Oh, great. There are two ways to do that. As I said, we're primarily training. We train what we call aeronautical meteorologists. That is personnel who would work in our meteorological services across the region. You can register by actually either through your meteorological services in the different countries. We have 16 member states in the English-speaking Caribbean. And you can register to be an observer, a senior meteorological technician, or an aeronautical forecaster. And that's directly with the Institute. Or if you want to go on, you can actually register with the University of West Indies to actually have a degree, a bachelor's degree in science in meteorology. And that allows you, again, as I said, to be recognized by the World Meteorological Organization as a meteorologist.
Sounds very exciting indeed. And so I'm going to turn now to the dust. This pesky Sahara dust that affects even me and my sinuses, and that's where you come in, Dr. Andrea Seeley. You look into the atmosphere and you see all of this happening. This must be so fascinating for you to be able, as a meteorologist, to study. Talk to me a little bit what it takes for you to do what you do and the kinds of skill sets one has to have to do what you do.
Now, firstly, I just wanted to say a little bit about what we do at CMH in terms of dust, because there's some things that people don't know. The World Meteorological Organization has an initiative called the Sand and Dust Warning Advisory and Assessment System, SDS WAS. And there are 3 regions that make up this initiative. There is the region of Asia, the regional node in Asia, the regional node in North Africa, the Middle East and Europe, and finally the Pan American node. And we actually host the Pan American node here in Barbados at the CIMH, and I am the chair of the regional steering group for the Pan American node. Now, in terms of dust, Saharan dust is very significant. The Sahara is the biggest source of dust in the world. And on the eastern side of the island, we have the longest dust observing record. Now, the interesting thing about Saharan dust is that even though it is a natural source, when we have these dust incursions in the region, the air quality actually degrades to many times over the WHO, which is the World Health Organization, and the US Environmental Protection Agency standards for what would be considered good air quality based on the amount of particulate matter, the particles, the concentration of particles that you have. Now, in terms of dust, I know people know it's not a typical meteorological subject. In terms of things, people are accustomed to the weather forecast.
Yes.
But in terms of atmospheric dust, we actually employ not just the conventional meteorology and atmospheric science people will be accustomed to, but it also takes some skills in terms of understanding atmospheric chemistry, even understanding health in terms of what the health guidelines are. So it is quite interdisciplinary in terms of something one can consider if you want to go into a career in meteorology and atmospheric science. So you marry chemistry, sometimes biology, because the dust carries organisms that actually are deposited into the marine and terrestrial ecosystems and affect those as well. So it is quite an interdisciplinary area, and that is what makes it so exciting for me, because I not only use the traditional meteorology that I've been trained in, but also other aspects of science that I also am interested in and passionate about.
So how do you capture the dust so you do your tests and the like? What instruments do you use?
Okay, in terms of what we're using, at CIMH we primarily do modeling, which is doing the actual forecasting, running simulations to get a 7-day forecast in advance of if a dust incursion will affect our region and how intense it will be. But we also are involved and collaborating with others, and we hope to get other things on stream as well in terms of monitoring. So actually having instruments such as samplers, which would capture the amount of particles you have. You can then actually take those samples and also analyze them to see what the chemical constituents are in the dust. We also have instruments that wouldn't capture samples, but for example, would look into the atmosphere and give you an idea of how polluted it is. There is one instrument at Ragged Point that's called a sun photometer, and it belongs to a NASA network. And the sun photometer measures something called aerosol optical depth. So it's not going to capture the actual dust samples like other instruments would, but when it gives this measurement of what is called aerosol optical depth, or AOD, it gives you an idea of how polluted the atmosphere is as well. And then you also have satellites that look from space downwards. They also give measurements that are related to air pollution and air quality, not only in Saharan dust, but other constituents. Some of these satellites measure the same AOD that I just mentioned. Some also measure other constituents as well in terms of the amount that you are seeing. So there are a number of things we can do. And then, of course, I said there are the samplers and sensors we have on the ground. Some are higher quality, more expensive research grade samplers, and then some are low quality sensors, which also get the job done, but they're also very reasonable, and you can buy more of them to get an idea of your pollution over an area or a region and have a fairly dense network of those sensors as well.
Listen, Dr. Seeley, you have questions rolling in from my production crew. There's so many questions related to dust that we really have to have a longer conversation with you at some point in time. But I'll turn to you now, Dr.
I'll be glad to do that.
Good. Dr. Cedric, I want to talk to you now because, you know, climate change is what we hear. As a climatologist, you hear a lot about climate change and the different elements that impact that as well. Is that part of the study as a climatologist?
Yes, it is, Pearson. Thank you for mentioning that, and thank you for having us on the show. I am reminded by Senator Harewood that our region is still one of the most vulnerable, if not the most vulnerable, to hazards such as hurricanes. But the reality of the Caribbean climate is that we are exposed to a range of hazards that can happen simultaneously, that can compound each other, and that can trigger a lot of different cascading impacts. So for instance, if you have extreme rainfall, then you could trigger flash flooding. That flash flooding could also trigger landslides. Landslides could bury villages, and you know the tragic consequences of such. So the business that we're really into as the Caribbean Regional Climate Center, and me as a climatologist within the Regional Climate Center, is to enhance risk management on the climate front by providing the region with the capacity to provide early warning information. So early warning information is really primarily geared at what if tomorrow, what if in the next week, what if in the next month, what if in the next year, we're gonna see record rainfall. What is the consequence of that? Are we bound to see more drought, or are we bound to see more flooding? Are we bound to see exceptional heat, which affects us all? Or is it going to be a relatively cool year? Is our hurricane season going to be very active or not? Those are things that we need to be warned against in advance in order to prepare and respond in an evidence-based way. So this is the core of our business. However, as you mentioned, there's also climate change, which is the much longer time scale. And on the much longer time scale, what we want to do is to be able to plan our lives, our livelihoods, are many components, many facets of our society, many socioeconomic sectors that are part of our society, to a range of conditions in the atmosphere, in the oceans, that may affect our business as we go on day to day. So it allows you to do long-term planning to prepare for a change, for instance, in your coping range. Imagine that you are able to cope in a range between this little rainfall and that little rainfall, but in the future you'll get that much more rainfall. So we need to make sure that we get adapted to that. But even in the future, what you're going to get is what we call climate variability. So that means ups and down swings in our climate. And if your coping range now is this much, but in the future you'll get this kind of rain, even in this situation you're going to get ups and downs. And sometimes it will exceed what your coping range is. And that is when we need this early warning information. How can we react in an evidence-based way to extremes and their impacts? So that's the core business of the Caribbean Regional Climate Center. And my role as climatologist is to lead in the capacity development of the Caribbean region's national weather services, to do the research, to develop services and products, to run operations in climate early warning. So for extremes such as rainfall or its absence, for heat, for hurricane season activity. And basically what we're doing is stretching the timescales of forecasts and monitoring from weather, which is minutes to 1 or 2 weeks, to timescales that go beyond that. So a couple of weeks, a month, 6 months, 1 year, and then looking further down the line, how is our climate going to change?
Wow.
So my role is to really help the Met Services of the Caribbean region to be able to design, develop, and produce and disseminate the information with the stakeholders in their country.
It's, Ms. Caesar, this sounds so fascinating, an area of course of study indeed happening at the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. All of this, and all the time we just thought it was about hurricanes, but it's so much more that impact what our weather systems in the Caribbean. So again, for those who are watching who now have a very keen interest in the multiplicity of areas that you offer there for study and for research, talk to me about entry and entry levels and the kinds of basic requirements that you would want from all of us to be able to make best use of the teaching.
We start off at secondary school learning about meteorology under geography. However, when you go into meteorology, you really need math and physics. Sorry, we may have just lost half of the audience, but it is really important. Yes, math and physics is the basis of meteorology and all the sciences that we do. At hydrology, we do GIS. We look at we're going to enter be doing marine meteorology in a couple. Actually, we started doing marine meteorology as well. So you need those basics. So going into the university program, you need at least you can go in with CSEC subjects. You must have at least 2 science subjects going in, and if you have CAPE, it is actually much better, preferably CAPE Math Unit 1 and 2 and Unit 1 of Physics. If you don't have those, when you get into the university, you do have preliminary courses which will bring you up to that level. So those are the basics that you need. However, as I said, whatever you come in with, we will work with you to bring you up to the level. And I guarantee you, it opens you up to a world of a science that is, even as I, being in the business now for many years, I won't date myself too much, but I celebrated 23 years yesterday being in Barbados in meteorology. It is a fascinating world, and we are supported internationally. CIMH enjoys a working relationship with agencies such as NOAA, which is the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, out of the US. We work with the USAID program. We work with EU, and they support us. And what we do with that information, with that support, really, is to educate not only in terms of meteorology, but as Dr. Van Merrick said, early warning systems. He talked about climate early warning systems, but we do impact-based forecasting as well. You may be aware that the Secretary General of the UN challenged us as meteorologists to provide early warning, that every person in the world should be prepared for upcoming disasters on any scale. And this is what we're doing. So we look forward to introducing young people. Oh, I should also mention that we do encourage secondary school students too. We do run a summer camp. We're hoping after COVID to reintroduce the summer camp, and we do have a very good record of having our secondary school students who go through our summer camps actually enter university as well. We have a very vibrant internship program as well, and our internship program allows, we have many projects have come out of that, and our interns have gone on to be going to graduate school. Some of them are now directors of meteorological services across the region. So there's a lot of ways that you can get in. There's a lot of excitement, and I can't even mention that we do travel a lot. Thank you as well.
Listen, this has been such a wonderful taste this morning. I really hope that many people now come see, taste and see, you get it? Right, to see what really truly happens within the Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. It's really fascinating. So mummies and daddies, allow your students to really engage at these levels. There's such vast opportunities for them through the work there at the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. I want to thank each of you for joining us today. To be continued, Dr. Seeley here. Right, so thank you so much.
No problem.
Kathy,
it was a pleasure to be here.
Of course, Chief Meteorologist and Lecturer and Coordinator of the Centre there. Dr. Andrea Seeley, who we just spoke to, Meteorologist and a Lecturer, and Dr. Cedric Van Meerbeek, got you right, Climatologist indeed with the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. Thank you all for joining us. We wish you the very best, and I hope many people do sign up for the programs and get experience through what you offer as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pearson.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're
Have
welcome.
a pleasant day.
Likewise, indeed. We're taking a break. We're coming back with more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
28 minutes after 7 o'clock. Now we're joined by the president of BARP herself, Marilyn Ricebone, a friend of Morning Barbados. She's brought with her Dr. Rashida Daisley, who is assistant professor with the Ross University School of Medicine. Good morning, both of you.
Good morning, Pearson, and good morning to Barbados as well.
Good to see both of you. But Marilyn, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow, this free obesity clinic. Why are you having this? Why is BARP doing this?
Well, Pearson, our theme for this year is healthy aging, aging strong. And so it's our intention to present various programs, health. We are going to focus as well on financial health, but the focus today is on healthy aging and the impact obesity is playing on in our with reference to the rising NCDs, etc. So it's all about to effect change, Pearson.
Yes,
you have to do it via programming, and that is what BARP is doing.
Now, the last time you had one of these free health clinics, you were oversubscribed. Is that the case? Do we have to register to come?
We are still taking calls. Persons can call us today at 538-2277. That number again, Pearson?
Yes, 538-2277. Good.
And we are happy, of course, that we are partnering with Ross University because, you know, as an organization, you can come up with some grand ideas, but to really, for purposes of implementation, you must seek partners that have the expertise and the skill you're looking for. So we are delighted that we can partner with Ross on this activity today, tomorrow as well.
Indeed. So, Dr. Rashida, let's talk a little bit about this. You know, obesity is a big one of those non-communicable diseases that's impacting so many thousands across the Caribbean and in Barbados as well. What are the risks if we don't manage it or our size better?
Okay, thank you so much, Pearson. Thank you so much for highlighting that obesity itself is an NCD. You're very correct there. So I'm first going to start by just giving us a little bit of context. So the reason that we're having the obesity clinic tomorrow is in raising awareness for World Obesity Day, which is actually on Saturday, March 4th. And as you mentioned, and as President Marlene Rice also mentioned, there are significant risks associated with obesity. So that can include things such as increased resource of other NCDs, such as type 2 diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, as well as cancers. So we really want to get ahead of this by raising awareness and equipping members of BARP as well as the wider population with the skills that they need to prevent going on to develop these NCDs.
So it's more than just being plump and chubby. It can impact your life in so many different ways that you just explained. And so a lot of it comes from what we ingest, what we digest as well, what goes through the mouth as well. So let's talk a little bit about would the session tomorrow be helping us also understand how to eat better?
So yes, so the session tomorrow, there are actually going to be two parts. So the first part is going to consist of a short talk discussing obesity, understanding how obesity can arise, and also going to be equipping persons with skills for instituting lifestyle changes. So how you can best manage changing your diet, including a bit more exercise into our lifestyles. Because as we know, in our sedentary world now, we don't get as much physical activity as we should. And I want to just circle back there on the point that you raised in terms of it being more than just being plump. So within our society, it's something encouraged sometimes in our ladies to be a bit more plump, but we have to look at the health risk associated with it. So tomorrow we're going to be doing more than just BMIs. BMI is an acronym for body mass index. We hear that quite a bit when we're talking about obesity, and that has to do with relating your weight to your height. But we're also going to be looking at some other measures of obesity that are more closely related to cardiovascular risk. So things such as waist circumference and waist to hip ratio, and also giving persons an understanding of why this is important.
Let's look at it now from our seniors' perspective, because this is a BARP initiative, and I suspect, and BARP's age now starts at 40. Minimum age is 40, so it's still relatively young people all the way through. Do you find that our seniors are having challenges with obesity a lot more now than before, perhaps?
So yeah, so we are seeing a rise in obesity rates across all ages, even in childhood, right up into the elderly as well. But there's a phenomenon in the elderly called sarcopenic obesity, and that is basically when our fat increases, but our muscle mass decreases. And muscle mass is very important to our metabolism because we are able to burn calories even at rest. So as we get older, we lose about 8% of our muscle mass every decade, and therefore our resting metabolic rate decreases, and we tend to increase a little bit more weight there. So that's what we're really focused on in the elderly population.
There's a lot to focus on too tomorrow, folks. It's a free clinic. So Marilyn, let's talk about it now. Where is it going to be, the times, and remind us again why we need to come out and engage with this free clinic.
Okay, again, because under our theme, Healthy Aging, Aging Strong, we're hosting this clinic tomorrow in partnership with Ross University, and it's going to be at our headquarters, Murview House at Hastings, and it commences at the clinic opens at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. We have our phone lines. Our phone lines will open at 8 in less than half of an hour, so that persons can register for this event tomorrow. And we're encouraging everybody to come. And it's not about shaming, about body shaming, but it is about putting you on a course that could give you maybe another 10, another 15, another 20 years or so. It's about extending your life. It's about giving you a better quality of life. And health, we need healthy citizens to keep the nation thriving. And before I end, Pearson, I want to also state that BARP is a member of the Barbados Childhood Obesity Coalition, and we fully support their work. And so it's children, in another area, we're focusing on children, because it's important that we save today's children for tomorrow's future. And if the children are going to be looking after us as seniors, we then should be healthy, they should be healthy, so that we will be less of a burden on society and on the social and health budgets of a government. So every BART member, call, we are ready. I'll be there as well to take some calls. We have a team on hand to take calls today, and let's make this event a life-changing event for some persons tomorrow. And as I stated earlier, it's not about body shaming. It's about making sure that you live a better quality of life.
Very well said. The number to call, we just posted it on our screen. I'll remind you again, 538-2277. It's right there at the bottom of your screen. Take a look. It's our BARP free obesity clinic tomorrow, Friday, at the BARP headquarters in Hastings. 538-2277. The numbers to call from 8 o'clock this morning, and make sure you turn up. Make sure you turn up here. And so, Dr. Rashida, quickly, how many doctors will you have there so that the people don't feel as if they're going to spend the whole day?
So we're going to have 2 doctors, and we're also going to have medical students there helping. So the medical students will be involved in the weighing as well as the taking the height and the measurements, and then there will also be 2 doctors there on site.
Good, so it goes pretty quickly. From 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, Friday, free obesity clinic at the BARP headquarters. Remember, the number you need to call to make sure you get in the line is 538-2277. I want to thank both of you, as usual. My friend Marlene Rice-Bowen, who is the president of BARP, and Dr. Rashida Daisley, who is assistant professor at Ross University School of Medicine. Thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow, but I know that we're going to benefit in significant ways by knowing our BMI. We need to know so that we can make effective changes and we can live happy, healthier lives indeed. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're very welcome indeed. Remember to call, folks, 538-2277. Call from 8 o'clock. Keep them busy. We're taking a break. We're coming back in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 21 minutes now to go to the hour of 8 o'clock. March is the month of the disabled. It's 1 month in the month of the year, and we take some time to focus on how we can be a lot more understanding of people of different abilities and how we can be far more inclusive of people with different abilities. Joining us right now as we look at that as the theme for the month is Transformative Solutions for Inclusive Development is John Hollingsworth, who is the director of the National Disabilities Unit. Mr. Hollingsworth, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Pearson.
Thank you for joining us. It's your month. It's your month, and there's a lot, I'm sure, that you're going to tell us. You're going to tell us about what's happening in the month. But I want to start by looking at what's your assessment of our level of understanding, compassion, inclusiveness of people with disabilities, Barbados on a whole. How would you describe it?
Well, that's a good way to start. What I would say basically is that we are not where we would like to be, but we have made some progress over the years. But we still have a way to go, and I would want to encourage all Barbadians, especially during this month, to be a little bit more compassionate to persons with disabilities. Starting this month, I don't only want it to be shown during this month, but that we continue to do so throughout the year and beyond.
You know, because there but for the grace of God go I. It just takes 1 second for us to be finding ourselves within the numbers of people who are also disabled, physical disabled, but there are different areas of disability. Talk to me a little bit about, from your unit, what you see as areas of disability that sometimes we don't quite see.
Persons do not normally classify mental illness as a disability. That is one major disability, and that falls into the category of non-visible disability. Persons see disabilities with what they can see, like persons, wheelchair users, for instance, blind persons, the deaf and hard of hearing. Those are persons that persons don't associate with disabilities, persons with amputations as well. But as I would have indicated just now, there are also the persons with mental illness. There are persons with developmental challenges. They may be chronologically about 20 or 30 years old, but they operate at a much lesser age than age of functioning. Like they may be 30 years old, but operate as an 8-year-old or 12-year-old. Some of the other disabilities, that are not readily seen are those where persons may have respiratory challenges, blood problems, lupus, etc. And some persons, although they may have these conditions, may not even want to classify themselves as having a person or as a person with a disability.
And sometimes we're called on as a society to physically assist, but also to be able to show some compassion, show some level of understanding as well. And how far along have we moved as a society where that's concerned?
As I indicated at the beginning, we have come some way, but there's still some ways to go because we still have pockets of our population within our society who still, I hate to say, laugh at persons with disabilities. And that is something that we aim or we seek to correct as time goes by. We plan to introduce a number of sensitivity training workshops, sensitivity training, public relations exercises through PSAs and various media to reach as wide of the population as possible so that they can actually recognize that persons with disabilities are actual people just like them. They just have different abilities, and you would know that persons like Einstein, for instance, would have been said to have had a disability. He was dyslexic, and he's still classified as one of the most brilliant minds that would have ever walked the earth. We hope too to be able to have different infomercials on television and on the radio to help persons to change their behavior as it relates to persons with disabilities. That way, we would hope that we will be able to fully integrate them into all aspects of our society and our economy, in sports, in culture, everything, because they, as I said, they have different abilities, and once we have them integrated, then we can become a more fully inclusive Barbados.
All right, so this is the month when we want folks to really focus in, to, if you haven't yet, to at least change the behavior towards being a lot more understanding and inclusive of people with disabilities. So what's on the calendar as we mark this month from the National Disabilities Unit?
Well, as we mark the month of the disabled, as you correctly said, the theme is transformative solutions for inclusive development. And we will start rather on Saturday, where the National Disabilities Unit will be hosting a movie night. We'll be showing Rare and The Last Dragon, along with Puss in Boots. It's a free event and it's open to the entire family. The Multiple Sclerosis Society will also be hosting a talk shop, what they consider a talk shop. And the theme there is Our Medical Cannabis. That's at Marriott's, at the courtyard at Marriott's from 2 p.m. In addition to that, the whole week or the whole month is packed with events. Our movie nights will be held on every Saturday except the 11th. Then on the 25th, we have a run, walk, and wheel, which basically is an exercise where we would walk from Cheapside to the National Disabilities Unit in Kalmarok to increase awareness of persons with disabilities and, as I was saying before, help change attitudes of Barbadians towards persons with disabilities. That starts at 9:30 p.m. On that same day, sorry, not on the same day, on the 18th, the National United Society for the Blind will have a talent show. That will be at the Prince Cave Hall at District A from 6 p.m. And the Barbados Council for the Disabled will have a Disability Awareness Day, and they will be going to schools to conduct various activities. And they will also have a constitutional rights on persons with disabilities, which will be a virtual presentation. We at the National Disabilities Unit, we will also have a public lecture on the 29th at the Courtney Blackman Grand Salle, where we will seek to identify a person with a disability to share their story and basically denounce the myth that persons with disabilities cannot achieve in society, not only Barbados, but internationally. Those are basically a snapshot of what we're going to be doing over the course of the month. And we want to focus mainly, although most of them are closed door events, you would recognize that over the airwaves and hopefully on television, we will be telecasting and broadcasting a number of PSAs to basically assist us in sensitizing Barbadians about disabilities I hope that they can change their attitudes and treat persons with disabilities with the dignity that they deserve.
You are absolutely right. And that's the way that we show that we are far more inclusive. When we begin to have a greater compassion for, a greater understanding of, and it is where we have to really pull from our hearts now to recognize that there are equal Barbadians just as we, and should have equal access to all of the services that us more able-bodied people enjoy. And they are no different. They truly are no different. They have the heart, the mind, the hands, everything else, like anyone else. And so they want to also be a part of it. And so I'm sure you're going to be appealing to business houses as well, starting the month of March, as it is National Disabilities Month, to begin to open up a lot more and provide opportunity for people of different abilities to be engaged in active work.
Most definitely, and where that is concerned, one of the major issues facing persons with disabilities is that of employment. We at the National Disabilities Unit have embarked on a number of programs to at least create or put a dent into the whole incidence of unemployment among persons with disabilities. We would have recently had, not recently, currently going on is a flower arranging project for persons with disabilities. We also have sign language program to help persons, especially relatives, to communicate better with those who are deaf or hard of hearing. And we also had a symposium on entrepreneurial markets. Incidentally, we have another entrepreneurial market. I should really have highlighted this before, on the 25th of March. And what we're doing basically is after the run, walk, and wheel, persons will hopefully congregate at our grounds at Calmarock and see what persons with disabilities, what goods and services that they have to offer. And then immediately after the entrepreneurial market, they can then stay on and enjoy themselves by participating or watching the movies that we would have on show.
I will hope it, as well as it goes, that we don't forget our children, because we tend to think that disability is for just the adult, the more mature person, but there are children who also, and granted we do have facilities that help them with physiotherapy and a whole host of services, but we must not forget our children as well. And part of not forgetting our children is for us adults, more able-bodied people, is to not look at them as being odd. They're no different from anyone else. They're just children who need the same measure of love and understanding as any adult would. And for us to be compassionate enough as a people to be able to open our hearts and minds and spaces to allow them access as well. So I really want to wish you, the unit there, the National Disabilities Unit, all the best as you continue working hard to continue to raise awareness of people with disabilities and how we need to be far more inclusive. And I'm really looking forward to the transformation that is real and possible as well, coming from the work of the unit too as well. I want to thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Hollingsworth.
Thank you so much, Pearson, and thanks for
You're
your
very
input
welcome.
as well.
All the best for the month, indeed. John Hollingsworth, the Director of the National Disabilities Unit, as we started our discussion now on the month of disabilities, and there's a whole lot more we will be sharing with you through the month of March. So look out for it, and I hope that you really learn from, you open your heart to understand, not just your mind, but your heart to really understand, and from it would flow the love and appreciation of those with disabilities, so we see them as we see ourselves. We're taking a break. When we come back, there's a familiar face I want to introduce you to, because there's some secrets to share. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So 10 minutes now to go to the hour of 8 o'clock. I told you it's a familiar face, didn't I? Would you like to see that face? Would you like to see that face? Look. Look. Seriously, look at your screen. That's all right there. That little square is the face. Tisha, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning to everybody.
She has secrets to tell here. So,
but they're not sharing the. You guys aren't sharing the secrets with me.
Because it's you to tell the secret, not us to tell the secret.
For sure.
Well, now, last Friday, you turned up somewhere.
Yep.
And there you were among the cattle that were lowing while the baby waited. How was it?
It was really great to get back outside. I mean, following up from COVID, where we've been inside and indoors and in front of green screens, people probably wouldn't know what we're talking about, but it's so great to see you even back on a set and to be sitting here with you on set. You know, it changed the dynamic of what we do so much that we really wanted to get back outside as well. And so I'm going to be doing a new special segment permitted by you, thank you very much, to, you know, head out every Friday. We're going to a secret spot somewhere around the island. So it can be anything from, you know, a food establishment, an interesting place, to just reworking and repurposing and sharing communities in a different way. And we want to engage with the audience and have them guess where I will be.
And it's on Fridays.
Every Friday.
Today is Thursday.
Yep.
Tomorrow is Friday.
I'm out tomorrow.
You want to give a hint as to, and let's see if we can start cracking, trying to figure it out? Because you know you and your riddles.
I am slipping the coop.
She can make me cough. Do not make me cough.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you're slipping the coop.
I am slipping the coop.
That's the clue. Now, I can't begin to imagine in my own mind where that could possibly be. She's slipping the coop. When I think of the coop, I think of chickens.
Who knows? You know, I might have to whip a few people into shape.
Or she might have to whip, now there's a further clue, She might have to whip some more people into shape.
Yep.
So, folks, your task, by the way, folks watching, thank you so much for watching. But now that you have those two clues, as quick, Alicia, tell me in my ear, what is it that they now need to do? Because we would need for you to be able to identify just where Tisha will be tomorrow. Tisha, do you know what they need to do?
Yeah, so we're going to invite people to call in. There will be an official clue early in the morning.
Yes.
And then you try to identify where you think I will be, that secret spot. So wherever the secret spot is, you get to call in and try to identify where it is, and then we do the big reveal.
Yeah. So tomorrow morning, when you all turn on to Morning Barbados, Tisha will be somewhere. She slipped the coop. She might whip you into action, you know, but she will be there, and we would want you very bright and early to be able to call us and give us your best guess as to exactly where Tisha is. And at some point in time tomorrow morning, we will reveal to you where she is. Now, I know, but you don't know, but we've dropped two clues already for you. So tomorrow morning, when we say go, did I give it away? When we say go, we want you to go and get on the phone and tell us where you think Tisha is. And this is what's going to be happening every Friday morning, God sends, right?
Absolutely. You don't know where we will be because we are not bound by borders.
No.
By, you know, we're going to be all over the place. So you don't know if we're going to be on or off island.
Yes.
In the region, outside of the region. We could be anywhere. A secret spot every single Friday on Morning Barbados. I look forward to it.
You know, she likes this kind of thing. I remember the days of Soccerholic Susie.
Yep.
So this is really right up your alley. But it also gives us, I suppose, an opportunity to learn about some places of Barbados as well that we may have overlooked.
And see them in a different light. You know, because sometimes there are places that you drive by all the time. But when you take a walk by, it's a totally different view. So that really is the aim, because I mean, honestly, there's nowhere in Barbados that really is a secret.
True.
But sometimes we say, oh, this is the best kept secret, because we just get into our routine of to home, to work, and then we don't take in the essence of what we have here at in Barbados. So, I mean, it could be, you know, something as what we would think as simple as a beach. An interesting beach, just to be able to share the people in that area and what's happening, something different in bringing CBC into the community, which is what we have always done. So, you know, to get a little closer to our audiences, the many audiences whom we serve, we are going to make sure that we get out and hit all those secret spots all around the place every single week.
My producer just whispered into my ear. She says, if folks, you know of any secret spots that you'd love to help us play along with, send us an email. Identify it to us indeed. Send the email to Mornin Barbados. It's on your screen. Mornin Barbados at cbc.bb. Mornin Barbados at cbc.bb. And Tisha and the production crew will take us to the secret spots that you've identified as well. So help us while we help you as well. It's going to be fantastic. But speaking of points of view, because on Saturday I took a bus ride. At Tisha, roads I've been, but from that different perspective, it was amazing. I'm like, really, this is what it looks like?
Yeah. It's amazing that we're back to the place where we're really excited about catching the bus, right? It's true that everything goes full circle. Yes. But, you know, I'm now jealous because I want to catch a bus too. But it's true. And, you know, as somebody who gets out, I'm not as active as I should be or used to be, but I want to get back there. I know that once you get out and walk or run, the view is totally different. And that's what it's all about. This segment is about stopping to smell the flowers.
True.
Yeah.
True. Take the time to smell the flowers. Take the time to understand the flower, because I suppose along the way you will not just be in the scene, but you'll be meeting people, hearing their stories and talking up a little bit about what they achieve as well. Amazing adventures, meeting exciting people, sharing their stories. So it really is about bringing a face to all the places around Barbados. Yeah. First, the region, who knows, and maybe even the world. Indeed so. Fridays, folks. Friday mornings on Morning Barbados are now different. Friday mornings at Morning Barbados are even better. As a matter of fact, as we will introduce you to Tisha's secret stops and those spots that she's going to. So tomorrow, she's going to what? Whip us into action. Whip us into shape. Into shape. Yes. And so who knows? You know, you might have to grab your dumbbells. It might be the gym. True. I wonder if it's a gym. But which gym? Where? There you go. So tomorrow morning, bright and early, when we say go, you go on the phone and you let us know. Don't tell us right now. I know how it is with you. But don't forget, we also want to hear from you of some of those secret spaces you think we should get to know about. And you can drop us an email, morninbarbados@cbc.bb. We're happy to come to a space near you. Tisha, thank you. Looking forward to tomorrow. I am really excited about it. And I'm going to make you sweat, Pearson. Girl, okay? I'm going to make you sweat. Sweat till you can't sweat no more. We should do a karaoke. Who knows? Maybe that's another clue. There you go. AM karaoke. There you go. Alrighty, folks, we're going to take a break. We're coming back in just a minute.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. And together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes
morning, morning, morning? Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's Thursday, that's Q Day indeed. So where are we going for Q in the community today? Rather, where are you going for Q in the community today? You're going to Savvy on the Bay. That's on Bay Street, Savvy on the Bay from bright and early, 11 o'clock. Be there, or as they say, be square. Be there indeed all day long today. Savvy on the Bay on Bay Street, a beautiful location. Beautiful and refreshing, just there on the beach. And certainly that's where we're all going to be today to dance our time away. Speaking of time, that's it for us today as well. We thank you so much for joining us. My producer has been Alicia Alves Grant, technical director Ruel Ford. Sound engineer today has been Philip Hines. And at master control has been Tamisha Green. I'm Pearson Boyne for each of them. To all of you, we say come back tomorrow. We have even more. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.